Hey, how you going? Generic YouTuber introduction here, and today we're gonna do this the right way. If you've been around on my channel long enough, you will understand that in its entirety. But anyways, if you're not a fan of the introduction fun stuffs we do at the beginning of the videos, there are timestamps in the description, but this is the one video I would actually advise that you sit through the entire thing and watch to understand why this build works and why it functions the way it does, as it's more than just the gear sets that we wear. Now that that's all squared away, let's talk. So this is yet another one of those builds that came to me almost in a dream. It wasn't exactly a dream because I woke up like 2 days ago and this build was on my mind. So what I did was I put it together on the PTS. I knew exactly what I wanted to run, which was the cool part. And, just take a look at this. I'm telling you guys, this build is insane, but it is also insanely fun. In a way, you could consider this a gank build, but in reality, it is just the One Shot Stamsorc from long, long ago. And let's go ahead and clear out the approachability rating for this build. I am trying to decide whether or not it's a 1 or a 2 star, but let's just play it safe and say it's a 2 out of 5 stars. And if you want an in-depth description of why it's a 2 out of 5 stars and almost a 1 star, it will be explained well in the combat stuff section. And I'm only going to leave you with these 2 words. Stealth mechanics. So yeah. So what else is there that we do? Oh yeah, this build makes people really annoyed and confused at the same time, and it's really funny to get reactions from them. I mean, just look at this. Ooh, let's go. That guy was probably like, what the frick was that? Opportunities for him to gank my teammates, but he's so salty about me ganking him that he's just hiding right now looking for me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to watch. Oh, I'm in the very middle of the map. Hello. Look at that, bro. Like clockwork, bro. Like clockwork. Freaking knew it. Gotta ask him, bro. I'm curious. I want to know. He is just upset, bro. He is upset. All 7 of those kills were me. I had like 2 other reactions, but I can't find them in my recordings, and also this intro has gone on for a very long time, so, yeah. Let's, Oh, I do have a montage for you guys. This one is a pretty cool montage. I think you guys will really enjoy it. If you just want to see some regular gameplay of it without all the music and the fancy edits, do check out my stream I did of this. I'll have it linked at the end of the video, and also I plan to stream this build a few more times because this is so much fun to play. Anyways, I present to you the best tax evasion build in ESO. like, right around 10 and 11 o'clock, performance just nopes out. And we're getting to that point, because it's 10 o'clock. This build in poor performance will not work. Simple as that. Because we need to make sure the heavy attack lands, and if it doesn't land... Like, what? 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 That's what I'm talking about, boys! What? What? Like, oh, I guess that's how it should work. Okay, taking a look at our attributes, we have 0 points into magic, 28 points into health, and 36 points into stamina. This is the front bar unbuffed. This is the back bar unbuffed. Slightly buffing up, this is the front bar. And this is the back bar. You can pause if you want to see the stats. For our Mundus stone, currently I'm using the serpent. I would go to the warrior, because that would give us more damage and more healing, which would help us secure a lot more kills. But last night I had the serpent on, I didn't even realize it. So the serpent seems to work really well too. You can use either or, but with the warrior you get a bunch more damage and healing, but the serpent gives us recovery, which is very useful when we're caught out of stealth. So if we can't go back in, this really helps us survive a lot longer. It's up to you which one you want to pick. I'd say test both of them and figure out which one feels better for you. Okay, so listen here, because this is very important. On this build, I am Vampire Stage 2. We're not Stage 4 or Stage 3. We are Stage 2. Let me explain. We are Stage 2 because at Stage 2, coming out of stealth or invisibility grants us 300 weapon and spell damage, and we're doing a lot of that because we're sneaking around a whole bunch, so that allows our opening combo from stealth to hit really, really hard. And also just being a vampire at Stage 1 allows us to ignore the movement speed penalty of sneak and go into stealth a lot faster. You could be Stage 3 Vampire if you want for Undeath, but the cost increases at that stage. You can start to really feel them with this build, so I would advise against it. On this build, I am a Khajiit, and let me explain why. Khajiit would be my first choice for this build, as the passives that we get support this build really, really well. If you're not a Khajiit, an Orc would be okay, but it wouldn't really allow you to have the full potential that this build can have. So let me explain why we are a Khajiit. We are a Khajiit for the passives that we get, Robustness increasing all of our recoveries, Lunar Blessings increasing all of our max stats, and Feline Ambush, which is why we are a Khajiit, increasing our critical damage and critical healing by 12%, and the big one, decreasing your detection radius and stealth by 3 meters. This is huge for this build, as the detection system in this game, so when you're in stealth, is really buggy and wacky and weird, and it's very unpredictable, so having that extra 3 meters is very, very handy. For our consumables, our main food is going to be Orzorga's smoked bear haunch. This food is really good for this build. It gives us maximum health and recoveries for both stamina and magic, which really helps with this build because we're using all of our resources. If you don't want to use Orzorga's, you could use Lava Foot, but you would have way less effectiveness with Lava Foot than you would with Orzorga's. If you don't have Orzorga's, you can use the off-brand Walmart version of it, which would be Jewels of Misrule. Since we are a vampire, I tend to keep a few of these on hand. Corrupting Bloody Mara. This will instantly set us to Stage 4. And then we have its opposite, Purifying Bloody Mara, which will lower our stage by 1, allowing us to have control over our vampirism on the go. And for our potion, we are using the Essence of Invisibility. This is a bit of a different potion than probably what you're used to seeing me use, but this has so many good uses. This allows us to go invisible on demand and gives us major expedition for that duration, allowing us to move really quickly while we're invisible. This is crafted with Blessed Thistle, Blue into... and then Nomira's Rot. And no, we are not using any weapon poisons on this build. Hello and welcome. Listen, this is very important that you listen to this part, okay? Sure, you can come here for all the pieces and just the gear sets itself, but this build requires so much more than just the knowledge of what the gear sets are, because there's a lot that goes into this build to make it function properly, so if you're just here for the gear sets, you're not going to get much. So I'd recommend you sit through the entire build video to understand what's going on. Anyways, on our front bar for our main hand weapon, we are using a New Moon Acolyte's Mace with a Disease enchantment. This is nerfed. If you don't know what New Moon does, basically, it allows you to have a lot more offensive power, but at the cost of things being a little bit more expensive to cast. For our main hand complement, we have a New Moon Acolyte's Mace. This one has a shock enchantment on it, and it is sharpened. For our back bar, we are running the Vatishrand's Greatsword with a weapon damage enchantment. It is defending. We have defending here, so that way we can get a little bit extra mitigation while we're on our back bar. And normally this will be the bar we're caught out of stealth on. If you don't know what Vatishrand does, just in summary, Rally becomes much more powerful. So we have New Moon on the front and Vatishrand on the back, so the cost increases on the front bar. For our head, we are using a one piece of Balorg, a Balorg's Max, meaning it is medium with a tri-stat enchantment. This is impenetrable. For all of these traits, I would actually do Divines. You could mix a few well-fitted in there, but Divines is the trait that you want. This is here for extra weapon and spell damage. On our chest, we have Deadlands Assassin Jack with a tri-stat enchantment. This is well-fitted, like I said, Divines. If you don't know what Deadlands Assassin does, well, basically does almost the same thing as New Moon, but gives you a proc instead. And I'll explain why we're using Deadlands Assassin and not something like Ashen Grip in a minute. For our shoulders, we are using Deadlands Assassin Arm Cops with a Stamina enchantment. These are well-fitted. You could do Divines here if you want. For our belt, we are using Deadlands Assassin Belt with a Stamina enchantment. These are Divines. For our hands, we are using Deadlands Assassin Bracers with a Stamina enchantment. These are Divines. For our legs, we are using Deadlands Assassin Guards with a Stamina enchantment. These are Divines. And for our feet, we are using New Moon Acolyte's Boots with a Stamina enchantment. These are well fitted. For our jewelry, I am using New Moon Acolyte's Amulet with a weapon damage enchantment. It is infused. For our first ring, I am using New Moon Acolyte's Ring with a weapon damage enchantment, and it is infused. And for our second ring, I am using the Ring of the Wild Hunt with a weapon damage enchantment, and this one is swift. We have the Ring of the Wild Hunt here because while we're stealth, this gives us some insane movement speed so we can track our target a lot better. Plus, it also allows us to get out of hairy situations a lot quicker. If you didn't take note of the armor weights, everything's in medium so we can get as much cost reduction for our stamina abilities and stealth, and also hit as hard as we can because we're stacking a bunch of weapon damage on this build. And just one more time, make sure you have a New Moon Acolyte on your front bar so that way the cost increase is only on the front bar. For our skills and abilities, on our front bar we have Whirling Blades. This is an execute ability. We spin on people and they die if they have low health. This cannot be dodged, so if they try and dodge, this should hit them. It doesn't work sometimes because this game is broken. Next up we have Camouflaged Hunter. This is slotted on our bar because while it is slotted, we get Major Savagery and Sorcery, increasing our critical chance. And also when we hit someone from behind, we get Minor Berserk, so we hit 5% harder. Sure, we can pull Nightblades and stuff out of stealth, but we're not really using it for that. Also, while this is slotted, we get access to the Slayer passive in the Fighter's Guild skill line, so we get 3% more damage. Next up, we have Balance. This is an Equilibrium morph in the Mage's Guild skill line. So basically, whenever you cast this, it costs health, but you get 3,000 magic back, and also you get Major Resolve, so that way you have some armor. We have this here because whenever we cast this, the passive Might of the Guild procs, allowing us to get Empower, increasing the damage of our light and heavy attacks by 40% for 3 seconds, so our heavy attacks from stealth hit ridiculously hard after we cast this. Also, this allows us to have infinite sustain. I'll explain that in the combat stuff section. Next up, we have Crystal Weapon. If you don't know what this does, basically you cast this, and then your next light or heavy attack deals a big amount of damage. Like, I don't know what to say. Also, you cast this, the next ability that you cast that's not an ultimate costs 10% less. And with our combo, this allows Equilibrium to cost 10% less. I'll explain that again in the combat stuff section. And basically, this is why we hit so very hard from stealth. Next up, we have Streak. A lot of you guys on stream were asking, why you have Streak there? Why don't you replace it with something else? We have Streak here for the specific reason that we can get out of situations extremely quickly with this ability. And also, if our combo fails, so like just something bugs out or something, we can streak through our target, stunning them and allowing us to get away and prepare another combo. And if you are in my stream, you know the amazing plays that you can do with this ability. Like, it is amazing, so you need to run this here. For our front bar ultimate, we have Dawnbreaker of Smiting. This skill doesn't work half the time anymore. I don't know what's wrong with it. It says target cone, and people are clearly inside the cone, but they take no damage, or they just phase right through it. I couldn't tell you. Anyways, when we cast this, it should stun the enemies and apply a massive dot to them at the same time as dealing a lot of upfront physical damage, which is insane. And also, while it's slotted, we get access to the Slayer passive again, increasing our damage by yet another 3%. On our back bar, we have Race Against Time. This is here because when we cast this, we get Minor Force, increasing our critical damage. It also gives us Major Expedition, allowing us to run 30% faster. And when we cast this and we have a snare on us, it removes that snare and grants us immunity to the next one. This skill is very non-negotiable. You need this here on this build. Next up we have Dark Deal. This is a ridiculous ability, especially on this build. I'll explain that in the combat stuff section. Basically, when you cast this, you get health and stamina back for the cost of magic. Next up we have Resolving Vigor here. Okay, so this is interesting. A lot of you guys were saying I wasn't using this on my stream. I don't remember. Anyways, on the PTS, where I brought this build over from, we have Simmering Frenzy here. I think that's the one that heals you whenever the effect ends for a certain amount. And this allowed us to get a bunch of damage, allowing us to hit those really, really big numbers. But at the moment, for the live server, I like Resolving Vigor, because we're going to be caught at a stealth a lot of the time, and having that extra heal over time really helps remove some of the pressure that is placed on us. For our next skill, we have Rally. Basically, when you cast this, we get access to the Vaishram proc, we get a bunch of damage, and we get some stamina recovery, and on top of that, it heals us when the effect expires. So it's a very good skill. You need to run this. Next up, we have Hurricane, and I need to explain why this is here. We have this here for when we're caught at a stealth and we need the armor buff, and we also need to add a little bit more offensive pressure to our target if we're caught at a stealth. We have Balance on the front bar. Casting that gives us major resolve, so we have some armor if we need it when we come out of stealth. But this is kind of a I need to hold my ground kind of ability, so we cast this, and then we go into lightning form, and basically we can stay offensive. You can go into stealth with this, but if it ticks on someone while you're invisible, it will pull you out of stealth. For our back bar ultimate, we have Summon Charge Atronarch. We have this here for the one reason that in the Daedric Summoning skill line, Daedric Protection, while we have a Daedric Summoning ability slotted, we get 20% stamina recovery and 20% health recovery, which is very powerful when we're trying to get some resources back, but it just helps to have a little bit more sustain on our back bar. Because like I said, this will be the bar you're out of stealth on. If you don't want to run the Atronarch, feel free to put whatever ultimate you feel would work best for you on the back bar, but this is why I'm running the Atronarch. And do not forget to fill out your passives, because I'm an idiot and I still, to this day, forget to fill out passives on the live server, decreasing the power of my build. So please, when you put this build together, check your passives and don't be an idiot like me, because you really, really want that extra power that the passives can give you. Okay, for our champion points in the role player tree, we have Master Gatherer, Plentiful Harvest, Sustaining Shadows, and Steed's Blessing. And yet again, please pay attention to what you're filling out, and fill out of sight, because, like I forget to fill out quite a few things, and my build is not as potent as I'd like it to be, so please check your passives. For the sweaty tree, we have Fighting Finesse, Deadly Aim, Master at Arms, and Untamed Aggression. As you can see, we are going full offensive with our passives, so make sure you get these. And for the potato tree, we have Celerity, Sustained by Suffering, Survival Instincts, and Slippery. And make sure whenever you're filling out the Survival Instincts passive, you only put 5 points into Mystic Tenacity, so that way you can maximize the duration of Survival Instincts. And also, make sure you fill out all the little golden stars as well. Welcome to the combat stuff section of the video. If you don't know what the combat stuff section is, basically we cover everything from the rotation and why we're running what we're running, and I give a few pointers and show some gameplay. So let's begin with why we're running what we're running, so you guys can actually understand why this build hits so hard and why it's so effective. So with this build is a game of passives and stacking damage. Look at this. Energized increases your physical and shock damage by 5%. Now take a look at this proc set. And this one. And the skill. Now look at this passive. Amplitude increases your damage done against enemies by 1% for every 10% of health they have. And look at this passive. And look at this passive. Wait, I'm not done. Look at this. That's interesting. I also know that a melee attack from stealth, if you're hidden, does 3 times more damage. Huh. Procs off of a heavy attack. A light or heavy attack. Minor Berserk? That, in very simple terms, is exactly what we're doing. And that is exactly how I would explain it to a newer player that does not understand why this build is destroying people in one hit. Okay, with all that fun stuff out of the way, let's get serious and let's talk about the rotation. So for this build, what you're going to want to do to start, normally what I do is I cast Rally, since that's my longest buff. I immediately go into my Dark Deal, so I can go ahead and start getting some stamina back. And then I press Race Against Time to get my Minor Force. and to get a little bit of movement speed. Then I switch to my front bar, I cast Crystal Weapon, and then after I cast Crystal Weapon, I immediately hit Balance, which will grant us some power from the Mages Guild passive. Then we simply do a fully charged heavy attack and pray that it lands. If it lands and your target is still not dead, normally their health should be about 5%, so all you need to do then is cast Spin to win and you get to kill. And that's where the easy part ends. Now let's talk about the part I didn't mention yet, which is trying to stay in stealth. So understanding the mechanics of stealth in this game is essential to being able to kill someone from stealth. It's not as easy as just going into crouch and trying to remain hidden. Literally anything and everything can pull you out of stealth, and we don't have an on-demand, cloak like Nightblade. We have a potion that is on a 45-second cooldown, so we need to know when the right time to use it is and when the wrong time to use it is, so that way we can be as effective as we can with our survivability. Because we don't have an on-demand cloak like the Nightblade has with one button and you press it and you're invisible. No, you have to rely on your own skill, your own positioning, and your own footing to stay hidden from the enemy. And that is the toughest part of this build, is trying to be in stealth when the combo goes off, because a multitude of things can go wrong. You can randomly get pulled out of stealth for no reason. You can get too close to an enemy and it'll pull you out of stealth. You can miss your heavy attack, that'll pull you out of stealth too. Just a lot of factors that you need to be aware of when trying to go for this burst combo from stealth. And if any of those things end up going wrong, you need to immediately know what calls to make in order to survive, because we do not have a lot of survivability on this build. We only got a few heals, and we have the ability to go invisible. That's it. So you need to know what calls to make and what is best in that situation in order to not die. Because if you just try and pick this build up and expect to be a brawler with it, it is not going to work. You need to know how to be sneaky, as that's where our survivability and damage come from, is from being invisible and not being able to be seen. So at base, you need to understand the stealth mechanics in this game. They are very wonky, and it's going to take a lot of time to learn, like animation canceling or something like that, because we don't have cloak or anything like that to rely on to guarantee us into stealth. We have to rely on our own positioning, our own footing, and knowledge of the game to make sure we're in stealth when the combo goes off. And we also have to aim our combo, because it's a heavy attack, and heavy attacks miss quite often in this game for some reason. And that's pretty much all there is to it. I can't really say too much other than stay away from Sorc pets, because they can immediately pull you out of stealth if you're like 10 feet away from them, and it's really weird. Twilights are annoying, especially when you're trying to sneak up on someone, and then they just spawn in their Twilight, and then all of a sudden you're detected. And also, if you're doing PvP in open world, so like the Imperial City, understand that guards have an infinite detection radius on you as long as they're aggroed to you. So you need to lose aggro from them in order to go back into crouch mode again. So like I said, a lot of factors to take into account. But let me tell you, when you get that burst combo off successfully and you finally are able to land it, it is the most rewarding, most fun, and most exhilarating experience I've gotten in this game in a long while. Because the preparation, the timing, just everything lands perfectly. You just... so good. It's something you have to experience to understand. And one more thing about the stealth and the mechanics in this game. It's something you just have to feel out. It's not something that can be taught. It's something that has to be experienced to understand. So that's why it's a bit of a skill gap requirement for this build to work. So I've gone on long enough, so let me just talk about the really cool part of this build and the way it's designed. We have infinite sustain with this build, which is crazy. So basically, let me explain it. So our balance skill, whenever we cast it, it costs health but gives us magic, right? But our Dark Deal, whenever we cast it, it costs magic and gives us health and stamina. You can see where I'm going with this. So if we need magic, we just cast balance and we get magic for health. Oh, our health is low, and our stam, if it's low, we can just cast Dark Deal and get our health and stamina back. Okay, well, now my magic's low again. Let me just use my health to... Just look at this. We can manage this the entire time while we're in stealth, because Dark Deal and Balance do not pull you out of stealth when you cast them, which makes this build work. If they change that, Zenimax, if you're watching this video and you change that about this skill, I will personally... No, I'm not going to do anything mean, because that would be mean. But the only reason this build works the way it does is because you can cast Dark Deal in stealth, and that is amazing. And basically you have infinite sneak with this build, as long as you're able to sustain it, and as long as you understand your positioning and footing with this build. You may stab, 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 stabby, stab, 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 to your heart's content, as this is the best tax evasion stabby shadow Sorc. There's a lot of titles for it that we came up with on stream. I don't know if I'll be able to list them all. So yeah, that has been the one-shot stamina stabby Sorc for the Ascending Tide DLC. This build is getting a huge buff next patch, and I mean huge. Like, it's gonna be ridiculous next patch. I know I played it on the PTS, and yes, I will make an updated build guide for it when it comes out, the High Isle DLC, that is. And I'll do that because I enjoy making montages and videos for you guys, and you know, maybe I can get some more one-shots with this thing and then laugh at people. So yeah, I hope you really enjoyed this video. I had a blast making it. I had a blast playing this build, and I'm going to be playing it some more in the future as well. Unfortunately, ESO is not in the best place performance-wise, so this build really suffers from that. But it's still fun. I can only imagine how fun it would be when the game actually works properly and they fix everything. But that's a dream that I'm not sure we're going to see come true, which is really sad. But anyways, let's end on a happy note. And yeah, I have a description of this video in the description. And yeah, that's all I got to say. So I hope you have a good night.